Good afternoon, everyone. I hope this video finds you all continuing to do well during this time. This video is a short lesson on the reading for week 12, concept 1, writing is a social and rhetorical activity. This video is being recorded on the afternoon of Friday, April 3rd. I just finished reading through your original discussions post and some of your response posts. And first, I wanted to just say that you all are doing a really great job on the discussion board. I read a lot of really lively discussions happening there, and you all did a really good job on the discussions post, really pointing out the main aspects of this particular article. So for today, I didn't see too many questions arising from the discussions board on the main points discussed within this piece. So I just kind of wanted to go over a few things to make sure that we're all on the same page and to kind of give you all some instruction on this particular article. So we'll jump right in. This is the piece that this author comes in with first. So they start with, writers are always doing the rhetorical work of addressing the needs and interests of the audience, even if unconsciously. She is always drawing upon the ideas and experiences of countless others. And so this is really setting the groundwork of not only are we thinking about what is going to best appeal to our audience, what is going to be the most effective form of persuasion for our audience, given our purpose, we are thinking about what is informing those decisions. So not just what is going to be most effective, but what is making me think will be those most effective forms of persuasion in this given situation. Also, this concept of when we say I am writing an email or I'm writing a note, suggesting that we are composing alone and with complete autonomy, when in fact writing can never be anything but a social and rhetorical act, connecting us to other people across time and space in an attempt to respond adequately to the needs of an audience. So here, within this quote, what we're really trying to get at is this concept that even if you are writing individually, so this is a really good time right now in this particular situation. Many of you are probably writing your discussions post, reading your discussions post alone, even though you might be in a house full of other people. You're writing these things in isolation. We're not in class having these conversations. When you're writing your discussions post, you're not physically speaking to anybody when you compose these discussions posts. But you are composing these discussions posts, you're composing these, you're writing, thinking about that social audience who's going to interact with that writing. So it's just calling attention to the fact that every time we are writing something, we are writing it towards an audience. And that audience, that crucial component of the audience within a rhetorical situation is going to always make writing a social activity, even if we are doing it in isolation. And to reiterate that, writing puts the writer in contact with other people, but the social nature of writing goes beyond the people writers draw upon and think about. So your audience isn't just who you are writing. The audience isn't the only social aspect of writing. But again, it's thinking about what is informing those decisions that you're making. So not just who you're talking to in the moment, but what various audiences have you come in contact with previously that are helping to inform how you engage with that current audience. So we're going to think about here, we're going to talk about this concept of genres a little bit more next week. And so we'll save that conversation for next week when we get into next week's reading for Monday. But I want us to think about this quote right here. It's a kind of a lengthy quote. It takes up this whole slide. But it's really getting at, if we think about it, it's getting at the main concepts of this entire piece. So the genres of medication labels, birthday wishes, and diary entries writers have undergone countless changes that they have been shaped by writers in various times and places. So let's think about this. Medication labels. The way that we use medication labels now isn't the way that medication labels have always been used in the past. The way that we send birthday wishes isn't the same now as it always has been in the past. For example, perhaps you would send a card or a postcard that was a birthday wish, or maybe you would send a telegram. Currently, today, you could send a Hallmark e-card. You can call somebody on the phone. You can FaceTime somebody, and they can still send the birthday wishes, but the medium in which you are sending that message is going to change. So even though the types of writing that we are doing kind of stay the same, we still have medication labels, we still send people happy birthday wishes, the way in which we go about sending those has changed, and they have been shaped by several factors. They have been shaped by the people who are composing the messages. They are shaped by the time in which they're being composed, the place in which they're being composed, and this next sentence, the technologies in which those writers are interacting. So again, you're not able to send a Hallmark e-card if you don't have access to internet, if you don't have a computer. But with the invention of computer, internet, and digital forms of communication, birthday wishes, sending a birthday card changed. You can still send a physical birthday card, or you can send a Hallmark e-card, or you can send a FaceTime message. So the type of communication that you're doing, a birthday wish, stays the same. How you go about doing that changes, again, because of the computer software, the software that you have available to you, the tools that you have available to you, or the technologies that you have available to you. So all of these complexities, to recap, the writers themselves, who's composing the message, the time in which the writer is composing, and the places in which they are composing, and the technologies in which they have access to, are going to shape how we compose these messages. All of these are going to have a factor in how we think about what are the available means of persuasion when we are engaging with others, with those audiences. And then also, how have we learned? Who have been those previous teachers? Who have been those previous mentors that have kind of showed us how to interact, how to send those messages? So all of that is engaging with how is writing a social activity. It's not just in the moment that we are on our own creating this message. This message is being created as a result of our previous experiences and exposures of how these messages are communicated, in combination with a presumption of what is going to work for our current audience. Another key point of this article here is this is in line with the purpose of the piece, as well as the audience. So this is really getting at, if teachers can help students consider their potential audiences and purposes, they can better help them understand what makes a text effective or not, what it accomplishes, and what it falls short of accomplishing. Considering writing as rhetorical helps learners understand the needs of an audience, what the audience knows and does not know, why audience members might need certain kinds of information, what the audience finds persuasive or not, and so on. So the real key crux of this piece, what they're really trying to get at, is trying to persuade their readers to understand and to then teach their students. So this is writing for teachers, but trying to get those teachers to teach their students that writing is a rhetorical act. That's this thing that they're trying to get at. And then the subsequent breakdown pieces of it is how it's showing that it is a rhetorical act. And most of you all got that in the discussions post online, but I just wanted to kind of clarify that here. It's that they are advocating for this new way of thinking about writing. One, that writing is social, and two, that writing is rhetorical. And then ultimately, if we can establish those 2 points, then the last element is that they're wanting to persuade instructors, professors, teachers to teach their students that writing is a social and rhetorical act. Because then those students, those future writers, can then have more effective writing. Because when you understand that every piece of writing that you communicate, even if it's a birthday wish or it's your discussions post for this class, if you're considering who is your audience and what is going to be the best method, what are your available means of persuasion to get their attention and to get your point across. In a nutshell, that's what the purpose and audience, that's what the purpose of this video was, and who the audience for this video is. But it's thinking about, and what I want you all to kind of keep in mind, and this is something we've been discussing all semester, every time you compose, whether that be sending a meme, sending an emoji, sending a text message, putting a post on Facebook, writing your discussions post for this class, sending an email to your instructor, even me right now creating this video, I'm constantly negotiating what are the needs of my audience, what is it that they're going to need in this moment, and what is going to be the most effective way to get that message across to them. So every time we are composing, writing in the way of text-based or in visual forms of communication, every time we are composing, we are engaging not only with our audience that we are trying to get to understand our message in the moment, who is that audience, what's going to work for them, but we are also considering our past experiences, what has informed what is going to be my assumptions of what will work for this current audience. And so kind of continue to think about that. Look at all the different forms of communication that are occurring around you right now and think about how are these artifacts of communication, these forms of writing, reinforcing the idea that writing is not an isolated activity, even though we might do it alone, but that there's a social activity that always considers the available means of persuasion.